Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back.
Yes.
Having a good time as usual.
We are having a good time.
And speaking of some good shout-outs, one of the things we've been sitting here, we've been speaking with Zillow, and we have actually one of the power users and a great individual who woke up early this morning, made the trek up 45 and then down 59 over here to the studio. Kimberly, how you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate
Kimberly Harding
it.
with Remax. which
Remax Space Center down in Lake City.
Big office down there.
Yeah. That is correct.
And you are like one of their stars. You're absolutely a rock star down there. So talk about a little bit how'd you get into real estate?
I got into real estate in 2003, and I can't help but think about the word change as we're sitting here talking about Zillow. When I joined in 2003 and got into the industry, there were top producers in my office who still did not use email. And I didn't understand that in 2003 especially. Looking today, those agents aren't in the business anymore.
What a surprise.
So what I adapted early on in my professional career is change. And I think Zillow is a part of that. Zillow is giving consumers what they want. And I think that realtors have to learn to adapt to that change because it's here. And they also give transparency, which I think is important. I am rated on Zillow.com. And you're absolutely right. If you think that makes me work a little bit harder for my client because I want that good review.
Oh, yeah.
Accountability is a huge piece. I mean, again, restaurants, hotels, the experience that consumers are having, they want to go see what other people did before they want to do business with you.
Absolutely. It's all about transparency and change in this business. And I encourage agents to research and investigate Zillow if you're not currently on there and see what it has to offer for you.
Well, I'm as ADD as they come, so I can testify to this personally. Even my partners joke about it. They're like bullet points for Joe, because I don't want to read 10 pages of stuff. Just bullet points.
That's why you went to books on CDs.
Yeah, absolutely. I only listen to audiobooks. I don't have time or mental attention for actually turning the pages. And so for me, ratings and reviews, critical. It doesn't matter what I'm buying. I can tell you if it's a book or a multi-$1,000 purchase, I always have the same technique. I go look at the rating. Once I find a rating I like, I go in and look at the best reviews and the worst reviews. I usually read one or two of each, right?
Absolutely.
To get the summation of two. And I think that's very normal in our society. And I certainly would do the same approach with a house or a realtor or anything else. That's my behavior in the online world.
Absolutely, I agree.
Have you gotten? So you've said this week when we were, of course, Kimberly was down with Strat Planning with us in Galveston, and you said you had gotten a listing off of Zillow. Was it off the rating side of it, or was it off another part of Zillow that you?
It was off my Agent Premier page. Typically we think of buyers on Zillow looking for homes, but in my experience, and I've been on Zillow now for several years, we are seeing more and more sellers go to Zillow to start that selling process and start thinking about selling, getting tips and ideas on what is needed. So I did actually get an email this week from a seller who found me on Zillow, said he read my reviews
Awesome.
And wanted to connect with a top producer in the area who, again, is showing that transparency and seeing other consumers talk about my services down in Lake City.
Well, with inventory being where it's at right now, obviously Houston has an all-time low inventory. That's a great point to put out, though. I mean, individuals are starting to call up. I mean, the phone calls I get, traditionally speaking, are about pre-approval. But then the next phone call, the next question they ask me is, "But do you think now is a good time to list my home?" Right?
Absolutely.
Because I hear it's a seller's market. Mm-hmm. Obviously, my first thing is you need to go back to your agent. That's the one thing. But as you're mentioning, I think that's a great point to follow up with, because it is right now an opportunity to put your home on the market. It's something that we plead with. Rob pleads with it every day. Go out, find an agent, put your home on the market. We need inventory. Mm-hmm. And to see that Zillow is actually helping you create that market from a listing is very, very neat. What else has Zillow done? I mean, obviously for the past 2 years you've been with Zillow. How have you seen that change your market, not only from a listing standpoint, but just the interaction? Obviously you've got the reviews that you're doing, you've got listings that you're doing. Mm-hmm. How do you address when a client comes to you and does something like the Zestimate, by the way? Always like to throw that out there.
Well, Well, I think the word validation comes to mind. I've been a top producer in my community for 10 years now, down in Leak City. But when someone can go online and see an unbiased opinion about my services that I didn't go post about myself, someone else did, I think it validates my services and who I am to that consumer and makes them feel more comfortable about me being a community top producer, knowing that area.
And inversely, that happens if you have someone say maybe it's a good review, but there's a couple of things they might mention. It makes you a better realtor.
Oh yeah,
because,
absolutely.
But realtors as a whole fear this. They don't want we're pleasers. We don't want anybody to not like us or not be pleased by us.
This may be a question for the both of you, actually. On reviews, one thing that I see in the review world, and this is something that's very key to me as a marketing guy. We look at this on a regular basis. Understanding that reviews are really a critical component of the online world now. Having a managed review service, having a third-party review service, or so that the consumer knows it's an unbiased source that is monitored, so that we know that we're not just getting a bunch of bogus reviews out there created by the business owner or the person that's being reviewed. I think that's huge. That helps customers understand. The next step then to me with the review process, and so I don't know this about Zillow, is, and I see y'all are getting selfies over here, and I feel left out.
Hey, it's an ussy.
It's an ussy. That's right. It's my own term, and I'm forgetting it now. I don't know this about Zillow, so this is a question for both of you guys. Is now we have reviews out there, and we have customers that post reviews, and we use a monitor review service on our website that allows us, when a review happens, allows us to respond as a business. And I think that's a critical component because hey, everybody makes mistakes, and mistakes happen. I had a friend of mine once tell me a genius line that it's sometimes genius is not in being flawless, it's in how well you recover. And I thought that was brilliant. Does Zillow have a means for the realtor to respond and interact with the review service?
Yes, and so two things. First of all, anyone who does a review has to have had a interaction with the agent. So it can't just be random. So that is actually monitored. You have to be actually in a relationship with the agent,
Awesome.
On the buy side or the sell side. Doesn't have to go through the transaction but you have to have had that connection. And so these are real people that have had real experience with that agent. And then there are occasionally bad reviews where something goes sideways in the transaction. And that may not always be the realtor's fault, or maybe they could have placated it. But the truth is, as a consumer audience, you trust somebody more who looks human. Mm-hmm. And if it's all 5 stars all across the board and not a single bad word, it doesn't feel real. Right. And we know that as people. So agents will get a bad review, and it's exactly what you said. It's how they handle it. How do they respond? How did they clean it up? And what was their the interaction? So there can be an ongoing dialogue in the review process. And you can probably speak to that as a firsthand.
I can, and as a matter of fact, I have to give a shout out to one of the greatest associations I've been a part of, and that's the Houston Association of Realtors. And early on, I participated in the client rating review. And I'm happy to say that I've kept an average of about 4.9. But a few months ago, I did get a rating of 3 stars. And I appreciated the fact that HAR allowed me to go on there and tell that seller who lived in the suburbs, and shout out to my dad in Santa Fe. We grew up, he has land out there, and we have chickens. Well, in the suburbs, chickens aren't as accepted. Well, the seller had chickens in his backyard. So we had a little bit of a difficult time selling his property. After getting the 3 stars, I was able to go on there and comment on the public page and say, we did have a bit of a challenge with the chickens in your backyard trying to sell, and I'm sorry about that, but at the end of the day, we did get your home sold. So people still read that, and they'll send me emails, gosh, you really had chickens in the backyard of a Leak City neighborhood, but I appreciated the fact to go on there and defend myself on the 3 stars.
Sometimes a sane response to a crazy review helps your business more than anything.
The crazy thing we've done, we've actually gone, so every closing that I do, we actually send out 3 reviews. We send out one to the listing agent, one to my client, and one to the buyer's agent. Now, it's always funny, right? Because you always know which one is going to rate you bad, by the way. Because, if you don't close on time, you absolutely know that the seller's agent's going to nail you on it, right? But the other day, though, we had a file that was took a little while, by the way, a lot longer than we all anticipated, but there was a lot of challenges to it. But the service was excellent. When I got back the reviews, as you mentioned, the reviews on my side, it had some challenges to it. So I called up and I spoke to my client. And she said, "Oh, you were great. What I didn't like was this, that, and the other." But what actually came out in the review didn't come out that way, right? It was, I didn't like this, I didn't like this, I didn't like the fact we didn't close on time, et cetera, et cetera. But it was Chris, but everything you did was great because we ended up closing. So a lot of times also, I like what you said. You have to be able to go back and understand where that review, because I always tell everybody is a review gives me an opportunity to improve. Because on my side of things, I have to impact I have an opportunity to create a relationship with the listing agent, because my buyer's agent obviously on my side right there, but also reinforce that buyer's agent and hopefully get a referral out of my client. But if you don't have the ability to go back and have that communication, it can be challenging.
And as Kurt said, it's about being real to the people. They want to see what you have to say, the feedback, on the reviews, and I think it keeps everything transparent.
Right.
And then you take those reviews, and this is something that's it's evident on your page as well, Kimberly. It's also your transactions. So not only what have people said about you, but what have you actually done? And so the other important thing is it's your resume, right? It's your online resume. This is what I am as a professional. These are the homes I currently have listed. These are the ones I worked with in the past, either on the buy side or the sell side. You would not hire somebody without at least looking to see what they have done in the past and maybe talking to a few people about what their work experience with this person was. It's the same thing. You're hiring somebody. This is your resume. What did other people feel like when they worked with you? And then what have you actually done? Did you do anything that was similar to what you're trying to do with me? So I know now that if I want to sell a house with chickens, exactly where to go.
I was looking the other day for a house with chickens. I wanted some fresh eggs, so I could have bought that listing. It had all the chickens I wanted.
So that's the takeaway from the show. Kim is in the market to sell houses with chickens.
No, you know what the takeaway from the show is? No one puts Bo in the corner, and he's sitting over there.
I know.
Corner.
He's hanging over in the corner.
He's being all quiet over there.
I'm enjoying the conversation.
Bo is my best kept secret. He is actually a huge part of my business. He's kind of the silent partner, unfortunately, but I really appreciate it.
He's been silent over in the corner. I'm trying to give him a mic.
I let Kimberly be the face. I mean, she's done just sitting back watching her. She amazes me to this day. Of course, I grew up with her in the business, just watching her. I was in another industry. But even to this day, just seeing how she manages clients and multiple deals at the same time, it's fascinating. So she is definitely the steam behind the engine.
Well, that is great to know. We always like to acknowledge everybody who's here. Obviously, you did a big shout out to your father who's listening to us right now. But also, Bo's a big part of your success and your organization and your life. And, one of the things we tell everybody is real estate is still very personal. No matter what you do, it's always fun to bring people on, bring their teams on board, bring their significant others on board, even bring their children. We have people come on the show all the time, bring their children, because real estate is a part of their life. It's, generally speaking, as you mentioned, one of the largest purchases someone's going to make in their life, and it's great being a part of that, whether it be on the financing side or finding the home side or the listing side. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I always talk about real estate touches everything, and everything touches real estate. It's that big. I mean, you don't go anywhere without being on real estate. Well, maybe.
And the real estate is bigger than just the buying and selling of homes. Because one of the other parts that is a significant part of Zillow's life is the rental space. And because we have now all of these millennials.
Stop kicking things over there, Kurt.
Yeah, Kurt's about 6'5", and we didn't, I guess, give him enough knee space there either.
I just kneecapped myself here.
Call our workman comp guy and get it to work. But anyway, we're in the middle of a thought here.
But the whole next generation is coming up. We have the millennials, and some of them have them as kids, and some of us act like them. And that whole generation is in the rental space right now, and so they're looking at rentals. They want a lifestyle around that, and we know that they are moving towards home ownership. Mm-hmm. And so that whole environment around the rental space and the people are in that, and then transitioning to home ownership. is a key piece. And so that's where Zillow has that full ecosystem, everywhere from someone who is looking at homes, someone who currently owns one, is not interested in selling, someone who is renting, all the way to someone who is buying. It's actually that full rounded experience.
Yeah. In fact, rental has gotten to be such a huge part of real estate. We actually emulated some of that, and we started putting on rentals on HAR that were not actually listed with MLS, like the apartments and things like that. It's now on HR.com.
Yeah.
So,
Zillow's the largest rental site on the
and
on
so
the internet.
you've beat
Wow.
out was rental.com was a big piece now. Have you kind of edged them out now?
Yep. So
Yep. Let's see if I-
Very nice.
Look out, it's a steamroller. It's just coming through the industry. But y'all have just done a remarkable job, and that's why we love to have down Strat Planning, is that we learned so much from that. And of course, you look at Kimberly here has made it into a money-producing aspect of her business.
Yes, Robin. I have to say to those realtors who are still apprehensive about Zillow and they're not sure what to say to that seller who has them into the home to say, but Zillow says my home is worth this, and you're telling me it's worth less. The realtor just needs to remember to remind the seller, but Zillow hasn't been inside your home. They haven't seen your avocado appliances and your orange shag carpet.
And your chickens.
And your chicken. And the chickens in the backyard.
So that's where the realtor, that gives the real estate agent a great opportunity to go back and make that personal connection. Zillow's not sitting across from your breakfast table hearing about your personal situation and why you need to sell this home.
Zillow opens doors.
Hey,
So
there's
That's
a
what
new
he said.
product
It's
for
a
you.
network that opens doors.
Kurt?
One of the things I was going to ask you
A
is,
chickstimate.
because a chickstimate, that's pretty good. Is one of the things that talk a little bit about how Zillow is out there working with the different associations to integrate and obtain data from there, and how you're not one of those individuals going out there working against those areas. You're actually out there working for and with the real estate community.
We are, and we've had a fantastic relationship with HAR, the Houston Association of Realtors, here for many years. They were one of the most progressive ones early on. They said,
Not one of them. We are the most progressive.
Well, you are the most progressive. And early on, you said that we see an opportunity here to enhance the connection of our realtors with the consumer audience. And so they've been participating with Zillow for many, many years. And so as a part of my role at Zillow is actually going out and speaking to all of the other associations and all of the other multiple listing services and inviting them to participate as well, because we have most of the data. And it comes through a variety of ways, and the best way to have the most accurate information is to actually connect to the source, right? You bottle it at the source. And so that's going directly back to the brokers, directly back to the MLSs. And so that's what we're on a campaign to do right now, is connect with those sources to make sure we have the most accurate information on there to make the experience on both sides, the consumer side and the realtor side, better.
And of course, we've had some associations have made foolish choices, and I'll use the city of Austin as one of them. They actually pull out of Zillow, but what it does is the big brokers still are on Zillow, and they've hurt the small brokers.
Yeah, so we have relationships, of course, all the large franchises, all the large brokerages. Their data continues to go there. It's a struggle. It's more of a struggle for the smaller brokers when the MLS or the association doesn't participate. But it's again up to us to go out there, demonstrate the value, have those conversations, still that personal touch to make sure that they understand why those decisions need to be reversed.
And another, maybe the next group of people come up as leadership will kind of recognize this wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah, that is true. But time
flies
flies when you're having fun, and we are already on the 3-minute mark.
Flies when they took 8 minutes away from. I think they owe us 8 minutes. I think we'll send them an invoice.
That is correct. That is
That was
correct.
the most expensive 8 minutes. So in parting, we start with Kurt. So wrap up, kind of like a synopsis of your visit today.
So in this modern world, where information is at our fingertips, we have more computing power stuck in our back pocket, and if you sit on it with an iPhone 6, then you have to, unbend it.
Dang, I've got a 6 Plus.
Little dig at the 6s I'm surrounded with. I'm still stuck with my 5 here. It comes down to two things. Can I get access to the information the way that I want it, when I want it? Can I do the research? And then can I connect with a professional? And that's all that Zillow is trying to do, is build this exciting environment where consumers are engaged and they can get involved, and then they can make those connections and move on with their life.
Well, you've all done a remarkable job. There's no doubt.
Oh, I would absolutely
Kimberly,
agree.
kind of same question. Kind of wrap up in your business and using technology and Zillow specifically.
I would just encourage the realtors out there who have not embraced Zillow yet or even researched it to think about change and innovation, and that is what this industry is about. I've seen a huge change since I got in the business 11 years ago, and I think it's going to continue to change. Consumers are going to get what they want, and I would just encourage realtors.
And it kind of goes back to what you had actually said earlier, is that we like to do the things that used to work.
Oh, yeah.
And of course it's moved. It's like Who Moved My Cheese or Icebergs Melting, all those books that are so great to talk about. It's in a changing environment, and it's an ever-changing environment. And Zillow is a prime example. They've embraced it.
But, I think the one thing we've seen here is everyone has a passion for what we do. Everyone has a passion for being out there. Kimberly's no different. She has been extremely successful for 10 years. The reason why, she has a passion for what she does. Zillow, same thing with Kurt over here. One of the things we always like to leave is with a quote, and today is no different. Teresa, thank you very much. She sent it back in today. She's back with the pack.
Yay.
You wouldn't be who you are without all the difficult times. Be thankful, even during the trials. I think that's always a good one right there.
Wonderful.
Until next time, we are out.
Thanks, guys.
And you've been listening to the Real Estate Rat Pack. The question is, who's Frank, who's Sammy, who's Dean, and who's the other guy?
Chris is Frank,
I'm
he's
Dean.
Dean, and I'm Sammy.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So tune in to the really big show every Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on 100.7 The Word, KKHT.